Welcome to another edition of the Resilient Living Podcast, a show dedicated to improving quality of life for both people and planet through liberation and independence, moving from surviving to thriving and living life on your own terms. All right, let's talk about making more money. And when I say more money, I'm talking about both people who are working a 9-to-5 job, blue-collar worker. If you're a business owner, an entrepreneur, that's what we're going to do. Who doesn't want to make more money? So I'm going to give you guys my 5 tips today. Let's jump into it. First one is stand out from the herd. So let's start first with this whole series. Well, first of all, excuse the background noise. That's my vehicle as I commute from my work. And yeah, that's the background noise. So yeah, first one is stand out from the herd. And let's start off with the entrepreneur. Entrepreneur, how did I start making way more money? I stood out from the herd. I started taking the best of the best. I started finding materials, testing them, looking up their testing that was done on them, and I also tested it out myself to find out, well, what is the actually superior good stuff? Because you see, some companies make a couple good things, but the rest kind of they're not so great. So what I've done is I've compiled all the best of the best through testing. Let me give you guys an idea of what I did. I had like this certain sealant, right? I had some certain screws that were supposed to be like water, very resistant to water, to rust and things like that. So what I did is I stuck these samples inside a jar of water. Some samples in construction, I left them out to exposure to the rain and stuff like that for a few years. And it kind of told me, oxidization, basically where it wears out and stuff like that. I put a couple different ones side by side, and that's what gave me, and I took a picture of it, and I took video, and that's what I showed my clients. Look, I've tested all this stuff out myself. I've looked it up. A lot of things sometimes are tested by third party, by second party. For instance, in my line of work, there's some people that will take stuff and they'll put it through UV testing, sandblasting. They'll let you know what's going to happen to it in 10 years in like a month. They just really beat the crap out of it. I found other samples and stuff that I use with like sealants for construction where you can run it over with your car and try to stab it with like a screwdriver and stuff like that. It's impenetrable. And what I do is I just lay it on the table for my clients and tell them, go ahead and go home, make a lunch and have work at it. See if you can break this stuff. It's indestructible. And that's what we're going to use on all the parts of your systems that's failed. We're going to replace it with this so it never happens again. Doesn't that sound great? Well, it makes me look really good. And the clients are really, really impressed, and therefore I win the job. And I tell them just like that in my sales. Yes, there's a certain company that has everything and they're certified, but you know what? These parts really, really suck, and these parts are really, really good. So let's just grab the best of the best. That is standing out from the herd, because most people are going to come out and just say what the things they've studied, the literature. Here's this, that. They don't say like why. They're not bringing value for value exchange. So if you can organize those things to stand out from everybody who's saying the same stuff, now you're coming out and you're bringing something new. You stand out and you sound very professional. Therefore, you win the job. Standing out from the herd of if you're working for somebody. I've actually coached a few people, and I told them, go do things that you're not supposed to do, like sweep the floors, clean the bathrooms, start studying stuff, start looking at the way, whatever job you're at. Most employees just want to get by with the least amount, right? They're just going to do the least amount, those to pretend like they're busy. But if you show particular interest, especially to a business owner, entrepreneur like me, and you start going after stuff, it really perks us up and makes us look and go, wow, this person is something really good. I think we want to keep them. You'll get a raise. If not, we're going to talk about some more things of what you can do, but you can also go find another job someplace else, especially right now in 2022, when there's not a lot of help out there. There's people begging people to come to work, but you have options. And if you're able to get these skill sets and to understand what I'm saying, to stand out from the rest of the people, you have more of a chance of getting a job, and therefore making more money. Next, it's not what you make, it's how. I want to emphasize how and what you spend. So if you're a business owner, and you're starting out, or business isn't going too good, it's what you're spending on. I think a lot of things for me is I'm not sufficient enough sometimes. When I go out and I do my jobs, I end up having to order extra materials, or I didn't have enough, so it really pays off to take your measurements, measure 9 times, cut once, as the saying goes, and make sure that you're getting, well use of your time. But also is purchasing materials, tools. I found a lot of things like cordless tools and stuff like that I don't have to haul a cord around with me. It actually ends up being like an employee. Some equipment I'll let you guys know, like a cordless saw and a nail gun. The cordless nail gun ran me about $500, but I'm able to pick this thing up with my cordless saw and go up on, say, like a commercial building, a very large project that I've got going on. So by the time I would go up and down and put cords, find an electric outlet and all that kind of stuff, it actually ends up saving me hours. And even if it saved you 1 hour per day, add that all up. 1 hour per day, 5 hours a week. Think about what that's worth of paying somebody. So all of these things that you can start spending money on to make your business run a lot more efficient. Yes, it's an initial investment, but my goodness, I mean, I've got equipment like dump trailers and all kinds of different stuff that's made my life super, super easier, especially being a solopreneur, doing everything myself. And yeah, it's a lot. So not what you make, it's how you spend and what you spend on your in your personal life. So let's talk about to make more money is actually to save money when you're working for somebody, and you're actually working for the government. You guys get paid you guys have to pay taxes. You get tax deductions from yourself or from your paycheck. And when you're working, you're a number, right? You're a Social Security number. And when you're working for the hard-earned cash that at your job for, and you're not running your life efficiently at your home, you're throwing food away, leaving the lights on, and things like that. Maybe you live in a larger home. It's what you spend your money on. So if you're not running things efficiently and you're throwing things away, you're throwing your money away. And I want you guys to understand, people think like something's just $1 or $10. Well, you got to think about all the energy that's going into your home to keep it cooled or warmed. You got to think about the car insurance that you're paying, the gas that you're paying, the wear and tear, the maintenance on your vehicle to get you there and to and fro. Also, people say I work 8 hours a day. Well, what I look at is when you wake up out of bed, as my motto goes, I do not wake up to go to work. I wake up to make money. When I decided this, when I discovered this in myself, that is what has improved my life. But what I understand is that when I wake up in the morning, my time is valuable. So a lot of people say I work 9 to 5, but when you're driving to your job, say an hour commute, half-hour commute, that's part of your time. So that means if you're making $20 an hour, right, you're only making like $18 an hour. So give or take that, about an hour of your day to 2 hours every day is being taken from you of your personal time. So you got to take that into consideration of how much money it actually takes to make that dollar. That dollar sometimes is probably actually $5. And then there's ghost expenses such as, when you work hard and the government takes, the taxes out of your paycheck every week, whatever you're left with when you go buy groceries, gas, and things like that, it actually, they take even more. Here in Sunnyside, California, I think you're looking at a sales tax, depending on where you're at, like of 8 to 9%. So you got to have all that stuff added up. You got to acknowledge all of these things. This is what's happening. And what you spend on as well, I'd like to say for both parties, for entrepreneurs, since we're talking about the home life, for entrepreneurs and the blue-collar workers. I have such things as a air fryer, pressure cooker. I have thermal cookware and stuff like that. So when I get home, my time, again, is very valuable. So purchasing things like this that is like $300, $400, $500 for these kitchen gadgets actually saves me time because I just dump a bunch of stuff in a pot, push a button, and walk away. Basically, dinner's being cooked for me. What does that mean? That means that a meal that would normally take me an hour, hour and a half to cook gets done in probably like 20, 30 minutes. I have an hour per day every time I cook dinner. That means that gives me time to work on myself. That means I can actually educate myself. I can figure out how to make more money. It buys me time, and that is very valuable, guys. Time. When you're trading your time for dollars, you got to really, really think about all of that, how it stacks up. And that goes for in your home as well. Like I said, if there's a new job or school you want to do, imagine if you were able to take an hour per night, 5 days a week, and you're able to apply that. It's 5 hours a week towards something, educating yourself, whether you're self-educated or going through an online course. So these things in your home are very valuable. These are things that I don't think that we take the mindset and go, well, I'm going to buy this, but is it really an investment? So it goes into how you spend your money again. Okay, the next one I got here is to solve a problem. So for the entrepreneur, the business owner, anybody who's coming to you has a problem. Sometimes I look and I see that people have a problem, but it's not the real problem. It's kind of going off a little bit over here. They say they need a whole new roof or something, or I need just a leak repair done on my faucet or something. And once you inspect it, it's like, well, no, you need a whole new plumbing system, or you need a whole new roof, right? But they don't have the money, and maybe they know these things. So you've got to fish from them and keep asking questions instead of talking about yourself and your business. You got to seek and find out what the source of the problem is. So the real problem is they have stuff that needs to be fixed, but the real problem is they don't have enough money to do so. So what you're problem solving for them is, well, why don't we do this portion, and that way it fits into your budget. Now you know how much everything's going to be, and maybe next year we'll do the rest. So you got to solve problems. Whatever you're selling, if you're able to solve a problem, you are making money, and you're making the world a better place. So like for me, one of my businesses is biodegradable container gardening, and the problem is that a lot of people don't have time to garden. And people who do try to, the bugs end up eating stuff. Water is an issue. They forget to water in the morning. Well, what if we're able to automate those things? What if we're able to stack stuff up on shelves where you don't have to bend over anymore? You don't even have to weed anymore because you're starting from scratch, building your own soil. We have automation on the water. We have bug screens, so that's going to help you out where you're not going to get infestation. You'll actually be able to grow stuff. I'm going to make it easy to where all you got to do is maybe like an hour a week, and you're growing your own food. And that's on a pretty large scale. So I'm solving all of those problems, and that's how I have something to sell. Now, the problem would be, I think, for blue-collar worker, is something that's going on with the business owner, your boss. And your boss is trying to run stuff. There's all kinds of crap happening. There's inefficiencies happening here and there. And you go out and you can even extract this from your boss and say, I'm getting bored doing what I'm doing. What kind of problems could I solve for you? And if they don't know, you can say, well, you notice how certain things happening in the restaurant where we have people showing up and they're waiting in line. And I noticed that we have that whole patio there. If we just added an extra table or 2 tables, I think we can get people in a lot quicker. And if I added it all up correctly and we're able to get 10 new customers per table per day, that's 20 customers buying new stuff just by us doing this little addition. We could put a couple little plants out there, put some Christmas lights, or something, make it all kind of fancy. And again, that's what your boss or the business owner is going to look at things like that and say, wow, you just solved one of my problems. And you keep solving the problems for the business or for the owner. And this gives you the ability, as I said, to start understanding how problem solving, getting that mentality, and wherever you go, constantly start looking for how you can solve problems. So whether you own a business or you're working for somebody, you're going to make a heck of a lot more money. To improve and tweak everything. So I mentioned with my business, going out and my biodegradable container garden business, my construction business and things like that, I'm always tweaking things. I'm always looking at, like, one of the tweaks that I got to improve my biodegradable container gardening system was just that, where I put things on the floor, right, these containers. Well, we ended up getting ants and stuff like that. So, and my back was hurting, so I said, well, you know what if I was somehow able to elevate these things? And I started off with wood pallets. I got free wood pallets, these 4 by 10 foot pallets, and I put them up on cinder blocks, invented a little way with axle grease so that the ants aren't getting into the plants anymore, but also I don't have to bend over anymore. And that's solving, that's tweaking everything. But what I found is that I had to find a way to separate the baskets, the containers from the wood, because they're rotting out the wood. So I actually invented a little pipe system. It's a stainless steel or galvanized rack of fence pipes. And I got this whole thing where I started figuring out, well, you know what? It is an initial investment here, but I started tweaking it, looking at aquaponics, hydroponics, and stuff like that, noticing how they build their shelves. And I actually invented and tweaked a few things to make it fit my own. And actually, I'm underpriced from the cost that it would be for like a hydroponic or an aquaponic system. So my container garden is now elevated off the ground, and it's over stainless steel, or I'm sorry, galvanized pipes instead of wood. And initial investment, but you'll have it for like probably 20 years of your life. So I improve and tweak everything. So I think I kind of covered this on the last note here. If you're a blue collar working for somebody, what are some of the things that you can tweak in your job? You know, like I said, adding on tables outside or something like that. Asking the client, the customers. Let's just say you were a bartender or a server, and you kept asking people, how was everything, and do you have any recommendations? And you start listening to your customers, and they start telling you things like, you know what would be really cool, and there's a big screen TV or something like that. You're tweaking things now. You're making things better. And then you can go to your boss or the business owner, whoever it is, and tell them, you know, I've been talking to a lot of clients, and a few of them, you know, I've got 10 requests for a big screen TV, and they said they would just make the place really pop, right? Or maybe the lights are too bright. Maybe if we dim the lights out. You know, I've got all of these different lists that I've been collecting, and I think that we can tweak this place a little better to make it more comfortable. There's always room to tweak and improve stuff all the time. So that is one I think you guys should definitely follow. Now the last one I have here is follow the money. I can't stress this one enough. Money goes where it's treated well. So whether you're an entrepreneur, a business owner, or a blue collar 9-to-5 worker, if you live in the poor parts of town and you're working a bar or a restaurant or something, or for a construction company, you know, there's not a lot going on that way out in those areas. Do what I do, where I fringe live the wealthy. I have wealthy people all around me, big giant McMansions, and within a 30-minute drive, and very close to me, I'm making more money than I've ever made. So whether you're a business owner or an entrepreneur, if you're a blue collar worker, working where the rich are going to go eat lunch and eat dinner and stuff like that is going to pay off way better. I mean, guys, there's cities where I look at that. There's like medium class, like middle class. There's upper class. Those are kind of cool. But when you start going out like to the coastal regions, you know, every state has one. Every county has an area. You want to get as close as possible to that. You're going to save more money on gas. That's more money in your pocket by being close. But you're going to make a heck of a lot more money on tips. If you're selling work in construction or whatever, any kind of goods, services, and you're out where those and you start advertising where those people are at, even if you need to drive to where they're at, I guarantee you're going to make a heck of a lot more money. That was one of my problems, was living where it's cheap, like we're a bunch of birds, right? And I had to drive way out to like maybe 2 hours sometimes in traffic. I was living back in Los Angeles, out of Los Angeles at that time. But working locally, I just noticed that, you know, there's so many low ballers, and when I added up the numbers, I was like, this isn't doing very well. You know, I'm not doing that great. And as soon as I started working where the rich were at, Beverly Hills and Hollywood and stuff like that, started making a heck of a lot more money. So money, wherever you're going to go to make more money, you need to go where it's treated best. I mean, just to give you guys an example for me is, and I believe this is going to be for your tips and stuff like that, people working for, for other businesses. I make probably double of what I make, and in half the time, half the drive, double. You got to do the math. You got to know your numbers. It's very important. Well, how much can I afford for rent? How much can I afford for a mortgage? How much can I afford for gas and things like that? What's my budget? And if you look at it, I think that's why a lot of people are just surviving. They're not really thriving because they live in a place that's cheap, that's affordable, you know, low cost. But the amount of time and effort and things, as we to sum up this whole entire show, is all that time that you're driving, all the wear and tear on your car, your heating of your home and the taxes, all of these things. You're not in a place that's conducive to making really good money because the cost to get there offsets everything. And the pay you're getting, especially right now, is what's hurting a lot of people. They're not getting paid good money. They're not getting paid what they actually need, what in most cases deserve, in my opinion. So guys, money is treated well when you go to the right places. All right, guys, that's the show. I want to thank you guys, each and every one of you, for taking the time out and being here today. And if you guys can, give me a thumbs up, a thumbs down. If you did give me a thumbs down, please let me know why. I love to hear all your guys' opinions, but it really helps me out. That's all I'm asking, is if you guys like and share, comment on the show. It helps the algorithms for this show to get known. That's what's going to keep the lights on around here. So guys, there's an email down below in the description. If you guys want to make any comments, just say hello, give any suggestions. And as I always say, guys, go out there and have yourself a near-life experience. Don't lose your muchness. Carry on the fire. And human up, my friends.